Hi, I'm JP.
And I'm Adam.
I've never seen Lost.
I have.
I'm told that it's good.
I liked it.
I'm told that it made sense.
Sort of.
But we're watching it out of order.
So it definitely won't make sense.
But it might still be good. Since we won't expect it to make sense, we'll still be able to appreciate each episode on its own merits as a 1-hour story.
Sometimes 2 or 3.
As opposed to just a fraction of an ongoing, sprawling, and increasingly complex tangle of relationships, personal stories, mysteries, mythologies, experiments, social dynamics, unnatural disasters, unanswered questions, and hot tropical hookups.
Are you okay?
I'm not sure.
Because you lost me a little bit there at the end.
Well, good, because I've been lost since the beginning. We're Lost on Lost.
Welcome, everybody, to Lost on Lost. I am Adam Busher, joined as always by the redoubtable JP Russell.
I don't know what that means.
Now, before we get started, I'd like to mention something. Earlier this week, a friend of mine and we're talking about the Dunning-Kruger effect. This is a type of cognitive bias in which people tend to overestimate their intelligence, and that some folks literally don't possess the skills to recognize their own incompetence. And I thought that was interesting, and I'm not necessarily sure why. Today we're talking about greatest hits. The 21st episode of season 3 and the 70th episode of Lost overall. Our centric character is everyone's favorite dollar store Noel Gallagher, Charlie Pace. Greatest Hits takes place on the 90th day after the mid-air breakup and crash of Oceanic Flight 815. JP.
Yeah.
You got a recap for us?
I suppose. All right, I'm going to give this a shot here. We open with someone racing across the beach, running towards a boat. Could it be Boone? Probably not. This episode focuses on everyone's favorite bassist, Charlie last name. Desmond informs Charlie that he has to drown to save Claire. Why would anyone do that? We get flashes into Charlie's past, and we see that he lived the wettest life of all of history. Meanwhile, Ben takes a page out of the George Bush Iraq playbook. A hasty invasion, license to kill all men, round up the women, and sort it all out later. Our heroes must race against the clock to double-cross the double-cross. Will they get out in time? Will Charlie die? Will Bernard learn the difference between a sheet bend knot and a sailor's hitch? Find out on Season 3, Episode 21, Greatest Hits. We have a guest, again, as we always do. We have the wonderful Jack Kelly with us. Thank you for coming on the show, Jack.
Thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here, and I greatly appreciated your summation of the episode. Because I have a lot of thoughts about how wet this episode was, too.
I'm dripping with anticipation. Jack, tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you a fan of Lost? Did you watch Lost when it was on TV, or is this your first episode?
This is not my first episode, but I did not watch it when it was on. I've seen like a season and a half of Lost, and then I either just like got really busy. It's probably a combination of getting really busy, losing interest because in the middle of season 2, just like nothing's happening. And also probably the next DVD was not available at the front desk of my college dorm. So
sure. Somebody was using it as an ashtray or something.
Probably.
Gotcha.
So it was, so who knows? But I've seen a season and a half. So like, but that was also officially over 10 years ago. So I have very few memories, and I obviously did not get this far. So I had a lot of questions, and I also did not watch the recap before the episode.
We always skip the recap.
But you're not completely foreign to these characters. You see Jack and you're like, oh yeah, that guy.
It just feels like, you went to like that one like mixer in high school that like was kind of memorable, but like not in a wholly positive way, but also not in a wholly negative way. But there's like a couple of people that you're like, oh, right, that guy. I don't remember what his deal was, but I remember he was interesting.
Yeah, with the face.
Yeah. That's very much how I felt. And there were some people where I was like, who the fuck is this person? And whereas like,
don't worry, because I'm right there with you.
I mean, like Claire, for instance, I was like, who is this? And then they like, shot back to like, one of the Throwbacks was like, oh, it's like, oh, from the plane crash. And I was like, oh, she was there from the beginning. Why don't I remember her at all?
Because one of her most important personality characteristics is that she's wildly unforgettable.
Oh my God.
So Jack, what kind of stuff do you typically watch? What catches your interest in terms of streaming, movies, television?
I am a heavy TV watcher.
Okay.
Heavy TV watcher. I actually was just telling Adam before this that I have trained some of my friends to assume that I have not seen a movie first.
Sure.
Because it is just much easier to make that assumption.
Got it.
There are so many I have not seen. Like, I saw Top Gun for the first time in the last, 6 months. I'm 30 years old. Big TV watcher. Primarily, I watch TV comedies because I want to eventually write for television, preferably comedies. But I do watch some dramas, mostly comedies. Mm-hmm. So, but I'll watch anything: streaming, network, cable, premium, anything.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you say we get into it then? Let's talk about Lost. Greatest Hits originally aired on May 16th, 2007. It was written by Edward Kitsis and Adam Horowitz and directed by Stephen Williams, the man, the myth, the legend, Stephen Williams. I think Stephen Williams has only directed about 1,000 episodes of Lost at this point. I feel like we're mentioning his name every other episode.
Right.
This is only the second time we've seen Kitsis and Horowitz come in, and they are most people probably recognize their names from the storybook show, the fairy tale Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, they co-created and wrote that. So they're pretty regular writing partners. The two of them wrote together a ton of Once Upon a Time. The only part that's interesting about Kitsis and Horowitz writing this episode is that it's the penultimate episode of the season.
Yeah.
And so Kitsis and Horowitz, they did a fair amount of writing for Lost. So it's interesting to me that the showrunners put this episode in their hands. So, there was a lot of trust there, I think, within the writers' room, at least for the showrunners to give them such a, in my opinion, a pretty awesome and important episode.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the actual content of the show anyway. I tried to write a Stephen Williams joke here. I spent the last 2 weeks,
I know,
and the well is dry. It's
well, what's not dry?
This episode,
Charlie. Let's get into
it. Bam! Somebody starts running. Somebody's running for a canoe. And yeah, JP, like you said in the recap, is it Boone? Because that's what I was like. That looks a lot like Boone.
Yeah,
but I know Boone's not live. Boone's
Dead
100.
men don't run.
That's right. Dead men don't row canoes. They don't do nothing. This little scene, I don't want to spend too much time on it because it's such a short list, but that happens, and then it just cuts to the survivors. And right. I'm just like, why did we need to see that?
It does. I don't know. Just to start it off with some momentum.
They wanted something in media res and was like to catch your interest, right. And you're like, okay, we're 3 episodes to the end of this of the end of the 3rd season. We're in it. You don't need to do this anymore, guys.
Right. There's already enough tension built up.
Yeah. Nobody. 13 years from now, 14 years from now is going to try to just individually watch these episodes and try to make sense of anything. You can just jump right in.
That would never happen. That would never happen. Cuts to the survivors. Hiking. I can't remember who said it, but hiking's just an asshole's way of saying walking. But this is everybody. This is the hiking crew here. Jack, Juliet, Saeed, Kate, Jin, Sun, Hurley, Desmond, Claire, and Charlie all heading somewhere.
Jack and Juliet are the only ones carrying backpacks, so I was just kind of like, "Ooh, this feels really bad. This feels like Jonestown."
This feels really chain gangy. This feels really like some sort of abduction type thing.
I mean, to be fair, they had more supplies at Jonestown. So
when everybody in this episode was just carrying water, so you could argue they had better drinks too.
No, they're chatting like I can't remember who brings it up, but Charlie asks a question that I've asked so many times in every episode. Nobody's telling them where they're going, and Charlie's like, "Why is everything a secret?"
Yes, this comes up several times in this episode. It starts with this, but then also several interactions with Saeed where it's like Jack is the most just impulsive person, and everything is a panic, and everything is a crisis, and everything is now we don't have time to talk, and everyone around him just wants to be like, "Hey, can we just talk?"
We could talk about this obviously later, but he is a bad leader. Jack is a bad leader.
Yes, absolutely,
and
we've talked about it at length on the show, but.
This is
absolutely.
I feel like this is just like a cautionary tale of what happens when you put white men in charge. Like everybody else who's not like a straight white man is just like, hey, I got some questions.
Yeah, no doubt. I
mean, okay, hold on. Full stop. So while I was going down the rabbit hole of trying to make this an Iraq war allegory, it is also kind of a Cold War allegory because right, you got Reagan, you got Gorbachev, right? They're the heads of these individual nations that are about to kill each other, but it's really just these two men that can't pull their heads out of their asses, right? So you've got Ben and you got Jack. They just want to kill each other and their respective people, and everyone else is like, I guess we're doing this?
I guess we follow them because of where we live?
I guess we'll
I don't
follow
want to be
them,
left out?
Or because there's just nothing else to do?
Right.
Right.
Sure.
Like, everything that Jack and to a larger extent Ben too, like everything always has the subtext of I don't have time to explain, and all the survivors are like we've nothing but time. We've been stranded on an island for 3 months. You can spare 5 minutes to fill us in.
Yeah.
My next note here is Jin has competition now for hottest guy on the island, and that would be Desmond.
Oh yeah.
I was looking at the survivors walking across this field, and my eye was immediately drawn to Desmond, and I was like, "Holy fuck! Like, is he the only person on the island who has conditioner? He's the only person who has access to a beard trimmer. His shirt is like perfectly unbuttoned to the appropriate spot. The sleeves are rolled up to the right spot. I almost forgot that Jin was there."
Well, he's competing with Sawyer, whose hair looks like an old doll's hair
like
that's been left in the sun.
Raggedy Andy doll.
Yeah.
I have so many questions about Desmond. I have so many questions.
You when your original watching of Lost, Jack, did you ever get introduced to Desmond?
I don't think so. I don't remember him, but also, to be fair, I don't remember most of them.
That's fair. But Desmond was not. He's not a plane crash survivor.
Right.
We know that much.
I think I knew, because I was like, I don't remember being introduced to him. Yeah. But I have my own personal theories about Desmond, which are probably wrong, because this is the only season 3 episode I've seen. But I was like, what are these flashbacks about? Why is he seeing these flashes of whatever?
He's got the dead zone.
Which
is like the third time I've brought that up in this podcast.
Well, it's like he's got these flashes, but like part of it is like he knows the future in a way, but like by telling somebody that you know the future, you can also convince them of like what they have to do. Right. So it's like, so and if you know your targets, you can tell them like, oh yeah, this is what I need you to do in order to like enact my plan. So I'm sitting over here going like, is Desmond a bad guy?
Sure. Yeah. Like I didn't even think about that till just now, but yeah, you could be, if you had this so-called power, you could be super manipulative with it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Especially because like he and Charlie, like, I mean, it's later in the episode, but just like, it's like he and Charlie are like keeping this to themselves, that he's seen, he's had this vision, and so it's like, and obviously it's like Charlie can be kind of easily manipulated, and
you don't say.
So Jack, you said it. Desmond has flashes. What's going on? So yeah, a lot of questions about Desmond in his moments of screen time. But we find out where they're hiking to. Jack hollers out into the woods for resident island maniac Danielle Rousseau.
He calls her out, and she's right there.
Who is this woman?
You didn't have to yell. We don't know who this woman is.
Who is she?
We don't know.
She?
She is the jungle.
Great. I mean, that's a better explanation than the show gave.
What little we know about Danielle is she is likely the French woman, quote unquote.
She was raised by wolves, 100%.
But like apparently we can sort of gather that she's also been on the island for a long time. She's not a survivor, potentially decades.
She actually at one point later said that she had been there for 16 years.
Yeah.
Or made a reference to 16 years.
Yeah. But yeah, she's got some dynamite.
Again, this is a thing that they could have shared. To be like, hey, we're going to blow something up, cover your ears, cover your eyes. Like, this is a dangerous situation.
Well,
being that close to an explosion.
And it's also Jack has unilaterally made the decision that they are going to kill all these other people.
Yep. We're going to blow them all to hell.
There's no vote. There's no talking about the group. It is this plan has already been put in place, and we are going to enact it. Jack is a psychopath. That's just how it is.
And he's got those wild, unhinged eyes as he's giving that big sale speech about we're going to blow them all to hell. And it's like, your time on the island has changed you.
Yes.
or has it? We don't really know a ton about what Jack was like before the plane crash, but this is definitely a different man than the pilot. But yeah, you're right, JP. It's a psychopath. It's like, I want to blow everybody up. How do you, the group, feel about it?
Yeah.
We have the ability to blow them up. It is an option. Let's discuss.
Yeah, no, we are blowing them up.
Yeah, I feel like it's almost like we're blowing them up. Thoughts? Thanks. And then just moves on.
Moving on.
Just like the window for public comment is so short.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I posted a notice for public meeting regarding the blow up the others with the dynamite plan in the bamboo kitchen. You guys had the opportunity to come to the meeting. Nobody showed up.
He wrote it in the sand and the waves washed it away.
I wrote it in the sand right near the water. Why didn't you guys see it?
So then we cut to Charlie. These goddamn millennials can't change a tire on a vehicle. We start having some Charlie flashbacks to when their song was first played on the radio.
I was pretty proud of this joke, and I apologize if anybody's made it in the past because it has been 17 years since this show's been on the air. But I was going to say we flash back to Oasis's first hit single. Get it?
JP, is it possible for you to fire a co-host?
I was wondering, Jack, do you want to jump on a different call with me? You and I can jump on a call, and then...
Yeah. We can totally do that. Yeah.
It does not become readily clear as to why we are cutting back to this specific moment in Charlie's history until, like, way later, I guess.
Way later. Later.
It's like it's pouring rain. Charlie's gonna quit the band, and it's probably. I mean, he probably should have. But then we just cut back, and so like the show isn't. I mean, we can gather from the title of the episode, "Greatest Hits." Like we're gonna be going through Charlie's greatest hits. Cut back to the beach, the island. That scene was so short. The thing that drove me nuts about it when I was watching was like it was so quick, and it was so. Such a non sequitur that I was just like, oh, are we gonna have more of these? It made me really not want to see any more flashbacks.
If they're as riveting as this one.
This is also Exhibit A of how wet this episode is, because it is pouring rain while they are trying to kick the tire. Yep. Not even changing it. He just kicks the tire. And then their song comes on the radio, and then they're super jazzed, and it's like, okay, your song's on the radio. You're still stuck in the mud.
I hope you weren't having a gig tonight because you're all gonna get pneumonia.
Well, but it's also like, yeah, Charlie's supposed to be like the primary songwriter, but at the same time, he's also the bassist. Hey, bassist, get outside and change the fucking tire. Like, you're not the drummer. Like, we need him to be okay. Then Desmond starts giving Charlie some odd looks while he's on the beach. He's talking to Claire.
And eyes.
Yeah, I was like, are they about to kiss right now?
Oh my God, that would have made this show so much better for me.
I was kind of hoping for it, but whatever.
Oh, well, they also talk about the looking glass.
Yeah,
thing.
that's the next thing I have. They're in the process of planting the dynamite, and then they start talking about the looking glass, this underwater Dharma station that the thing that brings it up is the radio. Saeed's trying to get Naomi's cell phone, satellite phone radio to work, and that's when Danielle's like, my signal's been playing for 16 years, nobody ever heard me. And then Juliet's like, that's because we did it. But so like, so she tells him about the looking glass and how this weird signal jammer of some sort. It's blocking Rousseau's signal. It'll block Naomi's signal. Saeed's like, fuck it, I know how to fix it. Doesn't matter what it is, just show me where it is and I'll fix it.
Well, but again, Saeed has to like stop Jack dead in his tracks and be like, listen, I'm trying, you can take 2 minutes to have this talk.
Yeah.
You know, but
right,
there's no time.
Yeah, he's like, we'll deal with that later. We got to deal with this first.
I feel like so much of Jack's story in this episode is he's that person that says they're so busy, but every time you see them, they're not really doing much. Right. But they're so busy and they cannot talk to you. And you're like,
yes.
pal,
I'm literally too busy.
I just saw you just like sitting over there having a crisis. So maybe we have time to talk now? No, so busy.
Yo.
Desmond's eyeballing Charlie. And so Desmond and Charlie go to have a conversation, and Charlie talks to him about he's like, you're having flashes? Like, what's going on? So this is obviously something that's been happening before. And it's like, and going back to what you were talking about earlier, Jack, you have to, like, if you don't know anything about Desmond, like you, or like me, like JP, like, is Desmond trying to get does he just want him dead for no good reason? Like,
because if they were failed attempts before, and he says, no, this time you have to die, it's just no, I need you to die this time because I need my plan to work.
Right. I've laid this foundation that I've been I've been helping you be aware of your potential death, but this time, here it comes. Charlie's got to die this time. He's got to die. Desmond had a vision of Claire and little baby turnip head getting on a rescue helicopter.
Claire was like, what if they're coming for my baby again? I was like, not everything's about you, Claire. Shut up.
Right? You've already been kidnapped. Let somebody else have a turn.
They don't care. They gave you back. No one cares.
This is also like the period of time in television where especially like male showrunners thought like, oh, well, yeah, we're gonna feature women more. We're gonna just have them be really annoying and just like all of their storylines are gonna focus on pregnancy because that's the only thing we think about women. And you're like,
but yeah, I mean, it's fun. Yeah,
okay.
if the only thing I know about women I learned from Lost is that they can get pregnant.
There are 3 of them pregnant in this episode.
That's wild. That's. I've never seen 3 pregnant women in one place in my real life, but I've seen it on television.
It's
the flashback to the pool.
Little Charlie's learning to swim, and Dad is, or I would assume Dad, or maybe just a local neighborhood pool pervert.
Maybe column A, column B.
You're friendly.
They don't have to be different people.
Spider-Man.
Come on, Charlie, you can do it. You can do it. I'll catch you.
I almost had to turn on the subtitles because it's crumpet, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Manchester accent. Manchester accent is rough.
Charlie's probably Dad says he's gonna do one thing in this flashback. This is gonna be a quick round of trivia. You're both gonna get one opportunity to answer. Charlie's father says he's going to do one thing in this flashback. Does he do it? Jack.
On the one hand, no. On the other hand...
JP. Chance to steal.
No, very much no.
Okay, but to be fair, if a child is jumping into a pool, do you actually want to wholesale catch the child? Because he jumps into the pool, but he's immediately scooped up. And honestly,
you're
I think that's
100%
better
right.
parenting
You're
than
right.
catching the child. That's why I was
right.
hesitating. I was like, no, this is good parenting. This scene was also too fucking long.
Yeah.
You are correct on both those points.
Long. I have so many notes.
Yes, he actually does. I would argue that is a good parenting moment. The scene is too long.
It's too long.
Well, but
how many times did he say, "I'll catch you, don't worry"? I think. Let me check my notes. 1,000 times.
1,000 times. It's his only line.
Well, and then again. A past Charlie is very wet. We get it. But the whole time the kid's just underwater, waiting for dad to come pick him up. I'm like, yeah, we get it. He's going to drown to death. Foreshadowing. I get it.
Foreshadowing.
Move to the next scene.
Honestly, the thing that freaked me out the most is that, how old this kid is, and he's, helping him swim in the water. I was like, how old are we supposed to think Charlie is in this scene? Because I think he's around,
he's at least,
9?
9, 10? Yeah.
He
should be able to swim by now.
He's in 4th grade. He should know how to swim by now. And we're talking about
how to swim by now, he's not going to learn.
Well, and we're talking about good parenting. Okay, I may have to retract my statement if you're teaching your kid how to swim at 9 years old.
Yeah, the subtext there is he's a bad parent because he didn't have time to do it until just now.
Lord,
come on, Charlie's dad. Come back to the island.
So Saeed's like, hey, tell me everything you know about this place. While he's pointing, my guy, you have blueprints. You have blueprints. I was like, where did... Is this a trick question? Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's okay.
Tell me everything you know about this. Do you know how to read blueprints?
Yes.
It's all right here.
But yeah, they discuss the looking glass, which, at least for us on the podcast here, is the first time we are talking about the looking glass.
Yes. They describe the looking glass as this sort of underwater Dharma station. We've heard a little bit about Dharma. We still don't know a ton about it, but they've obviously got these stations standards all over the island. This is an underwater station, I'm assuming for some sort of underwater research or maybe just signal jamming. Maybe that's the only thing it does. But there's a way to get to it. It's got a moon pool, which is an amazing scientific concept in which, if the thing's filled with water, but it's got a hole in it, as long as you maintain that air pressure or whatever, it won't fill up with water. It's cool. Somebody can hypothetically get into this place and shut off the jammer if they can swim down to it. But they think it's flooded. Or it potentially may be flooded.
Yeah.
So it's likely going to be a one-way trip.
Yeah, because Juliet had said that Ben told them all that it had been flooded. But if we know anything about Ben, you cannot trust him.
No, can't trust a goddamn thing he says. Charlie overhears them talking about this one-way flooded station thing and volunteers.
Yeah. He's a all Olympic, all state, all British something.
All state. All state's a type of car insurance.
Yeah, anyways, he can swim real good because he did it once a long time ago and has since done a lot of drugs since.
Drugs make you better at everything.
He says he can hold his breath for up to 4 minutes, which is, I think, physically impossible, but...
There's only one way to find out. Everybody, let's the three of us hold our breath for 4 minutes and see if we can pull it off. Ready? Go.
That's going to make for some great podcasting.
Does it have to be 4 minutes consecutively? Because I can hold my breath for 4 minutes.
Are you going to try to breathe underwater? Because that's one way to not breathe anymore.
Yeah.
More Jack horse shit here. Jack's like, no, you can't. Don't you dare, or whatever. Mr. Doctor fucking I've got to do everything. Which parts of this plan are going to be left to other people?
And in the same exchange here, like, I've been made to make decisions for this entire camp. I'm like, who put you in charge?
Oh man!
Unless that's in an episode where they are actually saying, Jack, you're the leader. I'm like, you're just the loudest person in the room.
I gotta say, still very reflective of real life. So often,
Right?
so often, the worst person assigns themselves as leader, and you're like, oh man, cannot wait to take over. Mutiny.
There's a breath of fresh air though here in, like you said, JP, a very, very fast-paced, quick-cutting episode for the most part.
Yeah.
We cut to the island's two cutest couples.
Oh,
my
I love
God,
these
you
two.
guys. Son and Jin and Rose and Bernard.
And they're bringing back one of my favorite podcasts within a podcast segments, Canonical Knots. Which premiered last episode, I believe.
I think so.
We were just talking about knots, man. Knots that are in the show. I love this segment, guys. Let's talk about these knots. Hold on, I got some Wikipedia pages here.
Wait, was she talking about were they doing the sheepshank knot?
Yeah, this is the sheepshank versus
Okay, so here's the thing about the sheepshank knot. The sheepshank knot is meant to shorten rope. So why were they using it to tie two ropes together?
Right?
That's
You
not
need to do
research.
some sort of
That's
splice.
information I have in my head. Why?
You're the greatest guest we've ever had.
Why? And so it's also a very hard knot. Like it doesn't make any sense, but it's meant to shorten rope. So really, that is not the knot that she should have been using anyway. That's not the knot that she was using. So the writers were clearly like, what's the funniest name of the knot that we can find? Oh, sheepshank.
Adam, when you're editing this, can you do the air horn? Like just fucking
Shock
Jack
jock.
Duncan
Shock
on the
jock.
knots. I love it.
I was genuinely actually very
in
mad
love with
about
it.
that scene.
I mean, well, hey, this was my note. Fucking Bernard just out here mansplaining knots to Rose and just rubs it in his face. Like, you don't know how to fucking tie knots. Don't tell me what's up.
Fun fact, neither of them know how to tie a fucking knot.
Right.
So
And then Jack bringing it into stark relief. Actually, neither of them know what the fuck's going on.
So many professional sailors are going to love this episode.
So good.
that's my demo. That's my main demo. By the way.
Bringing that nautical audience to the show.
Yeah, just
Sun and
wait.
Jin.
Yeah, just wait till
go
you hear
ahead.
my hot takes on Top Gun.
That's for our other podcast.
It's called Gun Tops.
Oh man, that would actually make Top Gun enjoyable. That's the actual porno of Top Gun.
Gun Tops.
Oh my
Tops.
god.
We get a quick break from the survivors camp action. We flash back to not Charlie's drenched lifestyle, but to 6 hours ago at the others' camp, Ben's house and his folk.
What a strange flashback. Like flashing back 6 hours.
The show does that. They have this weird like, oh, we can't show you things in order. What was that last episode where we were dealing with that?
Yeah, the brig. It had the flashbacks were only to like 3 or 4 days prior.
Right.
Not
yeah,
like
but everything
years,
was
but,
like
yeah.
it didn't
was-
do a good job of telling you. Anyway.
But yeah, so the others camp. Ben, and because we've seen the episode prior to this, Ben comes back from his little excursion off to somewhere, and during that trip, he shot Locke and left him for dead in a hole.
Yeah. John's having a real bad day.
I will gotta say, John Locke is one of the few characters from the show that I genuinely remember, and I love him. So
Of course you do.
I was very
Jack,
upset.
you're my new co-host. Adam's been voted off the island.
I'm being replaced, and it's happening right in front of
He
me.
is John Locke. When he lands on this island, this is literally the only story I remember from the season and a half I watched of the show. John Locke, like the plane crashes, he immediately loses his mind and like goes and like is obsessed with this fucking hatch, and like everyone's like, okay, the old man's gone crazy, and he's just like, no, the hatch, and like, and then because it's season 2 and we don't believe in 13 episode seasons yet as a nation, you know, we draw this out. And that's when I lost interest. But like, I was so fascinated by like John Locke and his hatch, and that's all I wanted to watch. I didn't care about anybody else. I was like, I want to watch the crazy old man in the jungle and his hatch. So I'm
The old man in the sea, the old man in his hat.
Yes, yes. Like I'm upset to hear that he was left in a ditch before this episode. I was very upset that he was not in this episode.
You and me both, Jack.
I really like John Locke. He's great.
I'm gonna put that.
Anyway,
That's amazing.
So Ben's plan to kidnap all the pregnant women.
yes.
He moves it up. He's like, we're changing the plan. We're putting this plan into overdrive. So he gets Ryan and some dudes. They go do it. 12 hours ahead of schedule or whatever. The voice of reason, Richard Alpert, is against it.
Yeah. And it's just, a hasty invasion usually isn't a good thing.
No.
Especially when there doesn't seem to be an actual need to move up the timetable, but whatever.
So in this situation, if Ben is Bush 2, who's Richard?
Oh, God.
Dick Army.
All right, moving on. Good joke.
So Richard's against it. Alex overhears this and runs off to tell Carl.
Carl.
Did they say Alex's name in the episode?
Yes, they did.
Okay.
They did say her name because I caught her name.
Oh, did they?
I wrote it down. Yes.
So yeah, Alex.
It took a minute, but they did eventually say her name.
Okay.
Yeah. She runs off into the woods to tell Carl. Carl's hiding in the woods. I don't know why.
Whatever.
But she's like, you got to tell the survivors. She reminds Carl that Kate and Sawyer saved his life. And there's like sort of a weird little like teenage drama here.
It's
like, if your dad finds out I'm here, he's gonna kill me. I was like, is this an episode of fucking Seventh Heaven? And you're like the sneaking in the upstairs window. And
if he's even my dad.
If he's even my dad.
He's not my mom, Todd.
But apparently Alex has a point, and Carl's life was saved by Kate and Sawyer. So
he beats feet over to the island.
Yeah. So that whole thing wraps up, and one cool thing about the invasion being moved up, regardless of how irrational it is in universe, it does create for us, the audience, a ticking clock. It turns the tension on the episode
totally
way up, which is nice. It's like before they had 24 hours to get ready for this invasion. Now that's gone, and so now the pressure's on, and that's I think, at least from a narrative standpoint, nice.
That's a story. That's a storytelling device right there.
Now that Ben's modified his plan, the survivors are modifying their plan. So the change now is that Danielle is going to take the survivors to the radio tower. Jack and Saeed are going to stay at the camp and fight the others. And Charlie and Desmond are now going to go switch off the jammer at the Looking Glass. That's the new plan. It's a plan in its infancy stages, because there's still some unanswered questions.
Everything's got to happen at the same time.
Yep. And now we cut back.
The hotel suite.
Just drunk as fuck.
Yes.
It's snowing outside and presumably some wet sheets. Is that what's wet in this flashback?
Somebody was definitely wet at some point in that bed.
If that particular situation ever happened to me, if I was in a bed with a couple of ladies and my brother came in and was like, hey dude, happy fucking Merry Christmas, I'd be like, get the fuck out of my bedroom. What are you doing?
Get out of here.
This is too weird. But maybe I don't understand it because I'm not a rock star, so whatever.
You're not a rock star yet.
Thank you. Liam gives Charlie a family heirloom ring.
So this is the second property where this actor now has to deal with a very important, all-powerful ring that has a purpose and a destination?
Well, kind of. I mean, Mary really wasn't ever responsible for the ring for good fucking reason.
Well, neither is Charlie. He leaves it in a crib, so...
That's also very true. That's actually probably what would have happened in Lord of the Rings. If they were like, yes, Mary, Pippin, you take the ring to Mordor.
They get to Mount Doom and they're just standing there at the crater, and then he starts patting his pockets, and it just cuts back to the Shire, and it's just sitting on a stump.
Oh yeah.
Oh shit.
But Charlie's brother brings up an interesting thing, because at this point he says that Charlie's like the only member, or he's the only rock star that doesn't do drugs.
The only drug-free rock star is what he says.
Right, because we know that he has a substance abuse problem when he first gets on the island. So something happens.
And this was a little frustrating to me. Like, he obviously has a drinking problem of some sorts.
Right.
Alcohol is a drug too. Fucking Liam. God damn it.
Yeah.
Hey, it was the mid-2000s. We did not have that sort of awareness about ourselves yet.
Lost
very
certainly
true.
did not have a lot of awareness about a lot of things about itself.
No.
Yeah, they're doing 20 episode seasons over here.
We come back to the beach. Charlie's saying goodbye to Claire.
Yeah, we're starting to have some pretty heartfelt moments from here on out where Charlie's pretty sure he's going to die. Yeah. So, but he's not trying to cause alarm because he knows he's got to do it to save people. Mm-hmm. So he starts having last moments with people, and it's really well done.
I don't know if the pandemic has made me like paralyzingly lonely, or I'm just touch starved, or what. But like all of these little goodbye scenes, man, my apartment got real dusty.
The Hurley one, oh my god. The one thing I have to say though, you know, he's sitting there and he's having this moment with Claire, and she's, you know, with the baby and you know, all this stuff. Claire is folding clothes very peacefully, very calmly. Bitch, people are coming to kill you. Fold them shits with some purpose. Shove them in a bag. Who gives a fuck if your permanent press shirt isn't folded properly? Move. There's dynamite in your camp.
Flashback. Covent Garden, baby. What song is he playing?
He's playing Wonderwall. He's playing Wonderwall. I remember that distinctly. I was like, is this motherfucker playing Wonderwall for real? And then it starts to fucking rain once again. Super wet.
We get it. He's gonna drown.
I know. I was like, all right, if we're gonna do this motif, we gotta do it in all the flashbacks.
Yes.
God. The rain shuts down the little impromptu Wonderwall covered concert, and so Charlie's heading out somewhere, and he hears a mugging in progress, and he runs off into this alley. He breaks up the mugging. This was a strange little bit of dialogue for me, because she said, I watched 3 people walk past, and not a single one stopped. And I was like, how long were you being mugged?
Right. just playing tug of war with this guy in the alleyway, like.
And you were of enough mind to count how many people walk past.
Right.
Help! I'm being mugged. He's not going to stop. Oh, no, don't take my bag. Hey! No, I'm not going to stop.
Help! I'm being mugged. Those shoes suck.
She calls him a hero, though.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty important thing to him.
Number 2.
He bothers to write it down. Yep.
Number 2.
The woman called me a hero in Covent Garden. Cut back to the beach. Charlie and Desmond are prepping to head out to the looking glass. Desmond's making him a weight belt to help him swim down. Asks him a good question. He's like, can you really hold your breath for 4 seconds? I was like, does it fucking matter?
It doesn't matter. No. And it's interesting because it's like, he knows, like, because of Desmond's premonition, it's like, I'm probably going to make it down there.
Yeah.
You know, like he's having these visions, like he's seen my death, and it's not trying to get down there. It's after I flip the switch or whatever. So
it's like I pull it off and then it's over. So like,
right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, like with Charlie beginning to say his goodbyes to, you know, to Claire and people, like, yeah, like he obviously buys into the Flash. So,
right.
You know, he's got to believe in his heart of hearts that even at the end of the day, he's going to die, but it's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
It's the entire reason why he's doing it, because of the care for Claire and for Aaron and for everybody else. So, we cut to what amounts to, I guess, the last of the fight prep work. Yeah, Bernard does a little target shooting, so it's obvious Bernard and Saeed are going to stay. Rose isn't happy, but
it's an entirely too long scene. I have a lot of just like screenwriting notes just for this episode. Sure.
They're piecing it together. Again, yeah, you're right. This scene takes too long. Bernard and Rose have a thing. Saeed, Jack, but then Saeed pulls out a thing here, and this is a moment of I love Saeed. He's one of my favorite characters. But he pulls up and he's like, "No, Jack. There's one change to the plan. You're taking the survivors to the radio tower. I'm staying here with Bernard, and you're leaving." and he tries to argue with him. But then Saeed says a thing that should have been said to Jack 1,000 times since the crash. This afternoon, you said you were our leader. It's time for you to act like one.
Yes,
because how Jack leads is not leadership.
Correct.
It's bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
It's a white man yelling.
Right, and expecting to be listened to.
Mm-hmm.
Cut to, and this is the Charlie and Hurley saying goodbye scene.
Yeah, just a really sweet scene. Yeah. Really well written, well acted. I love that little interaction. It was wonderful.
Yeah,
I've dunked on Charlie in the past for being fat phobic, but like he wants to tell Hurley to go away without telling him why.
Yeah,
and so he says, "You're just too big to come on the thing." He's like, "Whatever, dude." Fuck. But then Hurley's reaction to the goodbye is so fucking good too. He's like, "I just want you to know I love you, man." He's like, "Yeah, I love you too. Whatever."
Get out of here.
He's like, "Okay, asshole, just
right.
like, okay, can I go away, please?"
Right.
Yeah.
And for me, it hurt for a couple of reasons because Charlie's got to be mean to Hurley to get him to stay away, and B, Hurley has no idea where Charlie's headed,
right,
and what he's planning to do. So yeah, it's just like that one hurt. That one stuck me too.
George Garcia did a really nice job. Who plays Hurley. He did a really nice job in that scene, especially like coming over to me. He's like, "I'm a really good rower," and I'm just like, "Let him help you."
Right.
He's
right.
His performance is always so genuine and so
earnest.
His delivery is so spot on. Where I'm just like, I believe that this character like is existing in this world.
Yeah. And to follow up this sad and poignant and sort of beautiful moment with Hurley, we get another sad moment. We find out who the third shooter is going to be, and it's going to be Jin. So the Sun and Jin potentially, like, they don't believe that it's going to be a goodbye, but
and they've already been separated.
Yeah.
And so like they've gotten each other back, and now they have to voluntarily separate again in another dangerous situations.
I mean, the hits keep coming for them.
So we get a shot of the baby's crib,
yeah,
with the ring in it.
Yeah.
Why not give it to Claire and be like, "Hey, hold on to this for me"?
Right. Like I got confused by it because I was like, because Hurley comes to collect Claire and start hiking away from the camp, so it's clear for the attack or whatever. And then we see the ring in the crib, and it's like, did Claire forget it there, or did Charlie leave it there and not tell anybody? Like, I was
think
confused
he left
by
it there
how
and didn't tell her.
But yeah, that's what I gotta think. Yeah, like, yeah, if that's what the case was, if he put the ring in Aaron's crib so that the bloodline fucking continues or whatever.
I mean, if there's anything that we have learned from this show is that some of these people are not the brightest.
Make the best decisions.
I want to guess that there's like potentially like worms in the water.
There's communication issues.
Yeah, yeah. It's almost like they're strangers who just like ended up on a deserted island together, and don't know how to talk to one another. Except they're 90 days into it. You'd think you'd be able to talk to somebody by now.
Precisely.
40 people living in the close quarters for 3 months. Yeah.
And how
we should be closer.
How weren't more of them fucking? Like,
There's been quite a bit, actually.
But it's all the same people.
It's all the same people.
It's all Sawyer.
Sawyer constantly getting tail. And yeah, I mean, next time again, on Fuck Island.
Charlie's supposed to drown, and he was drowning in pussy in this episode. So.
But in a flashback.
Gross.
Sorry. I'll leave.
What's that joke? Is the dad explaining sex to the kid? Son, it's time we had to talk. Sex is like the ocean. I'm drowning. And then he high fives him. That is a webcomic that I will have to try and find the artist and credit them because
we'll
that's
put it on Twitter.
Super
funny joke.
It's a good webcomic.
They go the Charlie and Desmond find the cable that anchors the thing to the island. Like, is it floating?
It's a very small cable to anchor a whole thing to an island.
Well, it looked like it was like on the sea floor, was it not? Like, what is that cable doing? Does it run power? Like, what?
Yeah,
I don't get it.
This is a cable in case you ever have to sneak in. That's what it said on the blueprints. So they sling it over the outrigger to guide them to the looking glass so they can find it. And then I think this is where we have this is where we have our number one hit, right?
Yes.
We flash back to and it's a scene from the pilot. The night that Charlie met Claire, the first night after the plane crash. Claire's still pregnant. Charlie's on heroin.
Yeah,
and they have their little, it's sort of cute. I mean, kind of like, how do you do a meet cute in a plane crash situation? I suppose this is it.
Especially when she's like 9 months pregnant.
So
with somebody else's baby.
We cut back to the outrigger, and Charlie finally explains it. If we didn't pick up on it yet, these are his greatest hits, his top 5 moments in his life. This is his final goodbye to Claire. He tells Desmond to give Claire the note. Desmond tries the weakest subterfuge here. He's like, I've been having this flash about you dying this entire time, but maybe,
just maybe,
I'm actually supposed to take your place.
Yeah. So I could see that. The thing that I took issue with is the fact that Charlie's like, yeah, okay. Yeah, sure, maybe that's how it's supposed to be. Then hits him over the head with the oar. I'm like, you've been hanging out with Sawyer and Jack too much, dude. Right. You can't have a conversation and be like, no, this is my burden to bear. Be like, yeah, no, I'm going to lie to you and then assault you. Like,
right. Like, imagine if, like, so say, JP, we were hanging out, and I was just like, you want to go to Taco Bell for dinner? And you were like, I don't know, maybe we should go to McDonald's. And I'd be like, yeah, that's a good idea. Why don't you hand me my car keys? And then you turn around and I hit you in the back of the head with a bat. That's not how adults solve problems.
That does sound like college, though.
To be totally the bat fair. Was foam.
Right.
Yeah, Charlie is on his way to do something very heroic, but one of his last acts on the island is not a heroic thing. He gives Desmond a concussion.
Yeah, I don't know, but the music in this scene, and again, the writing and acting and execution of it is really, really effective.
But yeah, so Charlie knocks Desmond out, grabs the weight belt, and jumps in. Doesn't take his shoes off before he jumps in. Kicks him off as he's swimming down. Another example of Charlie's poor decision making.
Mm-hmm.
Spots the thing. He might not make it. He can't find the moon pool. He's gonna drown. It's like fuck.
So tense.
I hate that. And then he finally sees the ripples of the water. He gets in. And he obviously was expecting to like swim to the switch and die, and so like when he bursts through the water and comes into this air, he's just like, oh my god, like he's like ecstatic, and probably rightly so.
Yeah. Well, and then he expects like, oh well, now I just got to go flip the switch and die, but there's 2 people there with guns.
Yeah, he's trespassing now. Assault, trespassing, littering.
He was swimming 30 minutes after eating. All sorts of infractions here.
My God. And then, and that's it. End of episode, cliffhanger. What the fuck?
And then the 2-part finale.
Yeah, 2-part finale coming up. After this, we will watch that. So far in the future, I didn't even put an air date on it.
Nice.
It's going to be a minute.
Nice.
So that's it. That's greatest hits.
That's the greatest hits of the greatest hits.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Did we like it? Was it good? We ask ourselves, is this 45 minutes of television any good? Is it entertaining? Is it worth watching? Jack, kick us off.
Yeah, I would say it's very entertaining. It's very good. If I didn't have any prior knowledge of Lost, I think I would absolutely be very lost. Like,
sure.
Like, knew nothing about the show. I'd be like, who the fuck are all these people? But I having known just a little bit, even just it was really entertaining. And, I think that they did a really nice job like encapsulating it. But there's also part of it that's lost because, it's like, I know that like this season is when Dominic Monaghan leaves the show. Spoiler alert. But so I know that like this is the end of the line for Charlie. And I know that like Desmond's premonition is correct in some way, shape, or form. So like I understand like the weight and the gravity of Charlie leaving, but I think if I were watching this and didn't know any of that, I would be really stressed out for Charlie. But at the same time, like I'm like, I don't really know him. If I was just watching this episode, but yeah, I would say it was very entertaining. And I think it would be a much more powerful episode watched chronologically, which I mean is the ideal of storytelling.
Right. Yeah. Adam?
Yes, I liked it a lot. It was by far, I think, our least confusing season 3 episode that we've done.
Sure. Yeah.
And I don't know if that's because we've already seen the episode right before it or not, but I'm trying to think of just this episode.
Jack, the word encapsulating, I think, is really good because, even if you're just coming into this episode, you might not know who all these characters are or what the relationship is, but you understand very clearly what the stakes are within the episode and what needs to be achieved within it. So in that regard, I very much enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, and the I guess the last thing I would want to say about it is that I said earlier the trust that had been placed in Kitsis and Horowitz to write this episode, at least from and Jack's notes, multitude of notes will attest to this. It still does have screenwriting issues.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's pretty wild to me that like Kitsis and Horowitz are not bad writers at all, but it's wild for this episode to be the writing of it to be I guess as inconsistent as it was, as far as like with our very slow scenes, our very long scenes being interspersed with all these. But besides that, I still really really dug it.
Yeah,
it's a good episode.
Though the heavy-handedness with the water was a little much,
a bit much. No, I liked it.
Cool. Let's do it then. Let's get into everybody's second end of the episode bit. Lost MVP. Lost MVP is our favorite character of the episode, minus memories, minus context. Just this 45 minutes, the person who kicked ass for greatest hits. Jack, who is your Lost MVP?
I mean, I gotta say Charlie. It was his episode, and and I think that he, especially having to say goodbye to people and realizing he's going to die and he's going to do this like altruistic thing and then has to say goodbye to the woman I'm presuming he's in love with, as well as like everybody else, to do this noble thing. I think he's the MVP.
There you go.
Yeah. Adam?
I have to agree. No, I racked my brain trying to think of somebody else that I could even give it to as a joke, and I couldn't think of one. Charlie, Charlie was the man from start to finish. Dom Monaghan fucking killed it throughout. And yeah, Charlie was my MVP, and Jack summed it up pretty succinctly for me.
Yeah.
JP, what about you?
It's obviously Danielle. Clearly, you need some dynamite set up to kill some people. She got you. You need a demonstration of that. She got you. You're gonna meet her in a random spot in the woods. She'll just be there. They said, oh no, when the trees start speaking Vietnamese, the USGIs were oh no, this means death. No, it's when you start hearing that kind of French accent, you're already dead, my guy. Danielle is the jungle. She is the island.
Oh, man.
Rest in peace, Mira Furlan. We will miss you.
She's amazing.
Lost forever. The other half of this bit. Your least favorite character of the episode. Just this 45 minutes. Minus your memories. Minus context. Who fucking sucked? Who was out here just hacking it up on the island all day? Jack, what do you say?
Well, I hate that we have the same name.
Yes.
Jack was the worst fucking character. And I was like, can he have to flip the switch instead? If he's such a big man, can he go do that instead? Like, get wrecked.
Beautiful. It's just beautiful, Jack. Thank you.
I cannot
It's
wait
so good.
to see how many times fucking Dr. Shepard ends up being lost forever. By
We
the time
do
this
need
is
to
over.
start keeping
It's a
track
lot.
of this.
I mean, I am keeping track of it. I can't
you
wait
are?
to count
Okay,
it
good.
up. Yeah.
Yeah. Adam, Lost Forever.
The technician in charge of the fake rain. The fake rain in the van scene, the fake rain in the Covent Garden scene. Fuck, that was some of the worst fake rain I've ever seen in television in my history of viewing
They're
television.
just standing over him with a bucket and just...
Fuck, figure it out.
I have a note for the rain technician, especially in the Covent Garden scene. If he's in England, rain does not just start like that. It doesn't start with like a thunder
monsoon.
boom.
Right.
It doesn't start with a thunder boom. It just starts.
It just starts to
just
trickle
goes.
in. Yeah, exactly.
It's like
It
turning
just-
on a shower.
It just fucking happens. I lived in Ireland for 4 months. That's just what fucking happens. It just starts raining and you're like, I guess it's raining now. So I also, that's probably my number 2.
Fantastic.
JP, Lost Forever.
Juliet. The way she was stacking the dynamite, like she was trying to put carefully stacked dominoes together, or like she's placing a Fabergé egg. I'm like, you don't have a blasting cap. Your hands aren't made of fire. Just put it down. God, it's not that complicated.
See, I think on that note, I would also list whoever did props, because I thought she was placing like wooden dowels. And I'm like, what the fuck is she placing these wooden dowels so fucking carefully? I was like, oh wait, those are the dynamite. I was like,
Those are some old looking sausages.
Lord.
Oh boy, burning questions. We always ask just in case. Burning questions, a question that was brought up during the episode that you either hope has been answered in the past or will be answered in the future. Jack, did you have a burning question?
I have several.
No. What's your favorite?
I mean, my big thing is about Desmond. Like, what's the deal with his flashes? And like, is he a good guy or is he a secret bad guy?
Sure.
I have a lot of questions about Desmond, though I love him and I would probably protect him with my life. So
He must be protected at all costs.
he must be protected.
That's a good burning question. What the fuck is up with Desmond?
Yeah.
JP?
How's my sweet baby boy doing? I know he makes it to season 4.
He's just doing a little research on that hole, trying not to bleed to death.
Yep. Adam.
Who the fuck's Carl? Crucial exposition delivery man, Carl. Is there anything more that we need to know about him or not?
Because I honestly don't think it's Alex, because the kiss that they shared was somehow worse than Charlie and Claire's.
Yeah.
It was bad. Like, I was genuinely uncomfortable watching Alex and Carl kiss. I was like, have you two met before?
It was
Thursday on
awkward.
Jack, thanks for coming on the
Jack,
show.
wonderful job. Thanks
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
It was very fun to talk about a show I know very little about.
Well, you did
So-
amazing.
Yes.
Thank you.
Do you have anything you want to plug?
Yeah, you can follow me on social media, Twitter and Instagram at JackLovesTV. I am also a brand new staff writer on the Valley Star News for my community college newspaper.
Nice.
Writing some stuff. I'm so excited because that's my pandemic hobby, is taking community college courses and stressing about them. Yeah, I also have a podcast. It's not airing anymore, but if you are interested in listening to more television, I do have a podcast called Jack Loves TV. You can find it anywhere you get your podcasts.
And if you at home are trying to be lost with us, please check out our next episode. We will be watching season 1, episode 15, Homecoming. And if you didn't get enough of Charlie, good news. It's another Charlie episode.
Oh, he makes it. Oh, wait.
Oh, wait, what?
Oh, shoot. All right. Well, thank you for listening to this episode of Lost on Lost.
I'm Adam.
I'm JP.
Do you have any idea what's going on this show?
Nope.
Me neither. Lost on Lost is produced and edited by Adam Busher and JP Russell.
Recorded on location in Milwaukee, Wisconsin and Los Angeles, California.
Our show is hosted at Podbean. Find us there or wherever you find your podcasts.
Thanks to Danny Schmitz of Lost in a Name for our theme music.
Lostpedia and the community of contributors there.
Random.org for creating the watch order.
Check out our Facebook page, Lost on Lost, or find us on Twitter and Instagram at Lost on Lost 1.
Don't follow those jerks at Lost on Lost 2.
You can also email us at wearelostonlost@gmail.com. If you like what we're getting into here, buy us a coffee at coffee.com/wearelostonlost.
That's ko-fi.com/wearelostonlost.